not just inside the home.
House.
From Williamson House, so that's what my understanding is. That children were both internally and externally abused
after I left then.
At different locations.
Because I can account for every kid for 24 hours of the day while I was there.
Could I then ask you, because you obviously are isolated.
Who's coming down the stairs, mate?
Because of the isolation.
I don't know.
It's nothing to do with us.
One of the neighbours.
Topping up his
one of the neighbours.
Could I ask, can you recall, in your own personal involvement, how many children was there? More than 2 or 3 children that you had interaction with on a physical scale? You mentioned
2.
about minimum 2.
2, maximum 2.
All right, so maximum. You've mentioned the reasons behind that. Fine. Because it seems that there is a prolific paedophile network there, and
Sorry, just give him 2 seconds till he goes.
yeah, it's a prolific paedophile network there. It goes through to Lisbon Road, which is a brothel that was well
I didn't
known.
know anything about this. I honestly hadn't a clue. What you're saying to me now is news.
It's widespread. So if you're aware of like Richard Kerr's case, and the other chap you mentioned a moment ago, Alan Kerr, I would imagine that you would have more familiarisation because of the cases then. Are you aware that there is a number of persons that have come forward in time as being former residents of the actual Williamson house?
For me?
It could be during your time. I mean, these are historical as well. So if we looked between the periods of, say, 1960...
Oh, I wasn't aware there.
67, 68...
I was there 79, 80, 81, that's it.
Because I've got suggestion that you may have actually taken over as the officer in charge there around 1975.
That might be true then.
Well, you can't remember.
No.
I understand, obviously, as we get older, we do have moments of...
What year did the children move to Shore House on Fort William Park? To be moved from one to say that Williamson House to Fort William to Shore House? What year do you don't?
It was all individually needs assessments.
What I'd like to say is I've near enough reached the end of the point of the questions. Yeah, we'll be out of your hair in about maybe 3 minutes or less. Could I ask you, I know you're saying that you struggle to have a memory on certain things, but you seem to do well, so I have to rely on the fact that you can remember stuff.
In God's name, I am telling you the truth.
I'm not going to stand here and judge whether you are or not. I've asked you to be as open and honest as you could be with us, as you would expect us to be, not try to dupe you into letting us in like you've had by reporters and etc. Right. And I understand your reluctance because of it, and it's not right. I know that sometimes ethics go out the window because it's to do with children.
I understand.
Social workers do this as a practice, and it's unlawful to do that. Yeah, it's deception. They're deceiving. Yeah, to deceive an individual, yeah, makes them no better than the person that they're actually challenging. So what I'll do is I'll come on to this about a person by the name Billy B. This is an adult. Right, that doesn't connect to you. Does maybe the name with the initial Stephen J mean anything? He knew Joe Maines, apparently.
Well, I didn't know Joe Maines.
Apparently he confirms he knows you.
I know Joe Maines because he's in charge of Kincora and I refer children to him.
What I mean is Stephen J. Sorry, through maybe...
Stephen J doesn't ring a bell. He might have gone there from Williamson House on the other side of the house, but it was divided.
Says that was in the 1970s, and I appreciate it was quite a significant period ago. It says that he frequented between there, maybe with yourself in Liverpool and Belfast. But that's the whole part of asking questions, get clarification, yeah or no, truth or not, no problem. What I'll do is I'll finish up. What I'd like to do is because you've confirmed what we already know, and I
All right.
appreciate you being as honest as it
If my partner
seems.
comes by, your maintenance man from the housing
We're doing
association.
assessments then,
Yeah.
if that so be what you want to say, no problem. I appreciate that, and I appreciate it might be getting a bit much for you. If I was to talk about reference to men that abuse, as well women, but if I was to get onto that subject, men that abuse, what message do you have to parents who are concerned still to this day, because this is ongoing? What would your
Don't give up investigating. Don't give up. Keep going right to the bitter end.
because you
Because
can,
in the end, the truth will come out.
yeah, you can appreciate that this is happening. You was unfortunately a part of it, whatever way you decided to be a part of that. I'm not going to judge you. I don't agree with it. It's not against. It's against my grain. It's against anyone's grain that doesn't accept that and doesn't do it themselves. That's why they won't do it. But I'm not here, like these guys, to judge you or to make you feel that you should be under the ground. All right.
Right.
By being here, you've been able to help us
With our
further this
inquiries.
inquiry, which is helpful. So I appreciate
Go
that.
on to the next
And
stages.
I'm, I'm quite a grassroots spirited person. Yeah, I believe in what's right over wrong, and I understand you do have remorse. Yeah, you've shown a bit. You've shown.
I'll
a bit.
never ever be able to get this out of my mind. It haunts me daily. It comes to me in my
Feel
dreams.
for those kids as well.
That's what I was thinking.
Or harmed any of the two that I was involved with. It was all done. I'm stupid to say this, but it's all done lovingly.
I
I
won't
under-
argue the point
Can
on
I-
whether.
I'll just say
Yeah,
something.
go on.
I can understand that it's quite distressing for yourself to maybe revisit what you're revisiting
Yeah,
today,
of course.
what we're here talking to you about. But the years and years that are ongoing for the people that were in your care, under your remit, basically you're looking after them, you're supposed to be safeguarding them. This has happened to them in your care system and in your care.
It's a lifelong effect.
If it's uncomfortable for you now,
Yeah.
imagine how uncomfortable it is for that person,
In fact,
any of them survivors, because some may there'd be suicides. There's all sorts that can happen. Yeah,
Unfortunately, that's
right.
what's
I
happening.
understand it's stressful for you now, but for
I was involved with.
it's nearly 40 years. So it's nearly 40 years. Some of these survivors are still struggling with the issues that they
That's
face on that day.
really bad they went through. But in my case, the two people I was involved with, that
Have you anything to say for the children?
That's exactly what we're going to come to, because you've covered that
Yeah.
very finely. I don't
Yeah.
need to go over that ground.
Yeah.
If I was to convey on behalf through this question asking you, what message would you like to give to the victims that you was responsible for, as well as those that were amongst you that were
the
responsible
two
for
that I've
them?
mentioned, I would really apologise that what I did at the time was wrong, but it wasn't done in a wrongness situation. I really thought I was being a loving, caring adult at the time
Is
that
that
it
the two you
happened.
were convicted of?
Yeah, the two that I was convicted of. There
Found
were
out.
no others.
Basically found out.
There were not found out. There were no others, because at the time there was a terrific inquiry into it all, and it just confirmed that there were just the two.
Maybe it's because
I'm
that was the
sorry you're so
indictment.
angry.
That-
I really am,
No,
but
It's the
I can't-
indictment. I mean, what I would say is, on the balance of this, our position is to try and
on their
protect
behalf.
children,
Yeah, of
and
course, I agree with everything that you're doing.
thank you. And,
Because
and
if
that's
you
the
don't do it,
problem.
who's going to do it?
People do, especially if you do hail from a part, say in Belfast, where these problems have
rough.
been.
At the time,
Yeah,
but
they've been across the board.
Yeah.
But clearly, when you're connected
It's
to an
so
area, and our friends' family are connected to Belfast, as you can hear his accent, so it does become a bit more personal. So that's why, as an explanation, it's not that he wants to be ultimately angry directly at you, but at everything that has happened there, because the troubles alone was what that was. And to have this being done and undermined during the troubles was ultimately taking advantage of a conflict between two parts of the same country, and I'm Irish as well. And to have children abused like that, and to be made aware that the majority of law enforcement apparently were aware and turning the other cheek and letting it continue is astonishing and sickening. And as I say it to you, Eric, I feel very giddy saying that, because I believe in law and order, and to have this knowledge makes me question in my mind, where is the end in terms of ethics for the end of corrupt practice?
I'm with you all the way. I'm with you all the way.
I've
all I
asked-
can do to help.
Sorry, very simple. Sorry, you were saying.
If there's anything else I can do to help, don't hesitate.
You've been very cooperative. You know, I
sorry
have
I
to
didn't-
take your
I'm
responses.
sorry I didn't lead you to the next step, but that's where I am.
No problem. You know, I'm not going to stay here and double guess whether you've told me truth, fiction,
Honestly,
in
I
parts, but I appreciate what you have done with us. I do have a question for my colleagues. Does anyone else have any further questions that they can
I
think
might
of?
have one personal one if you don't mind me asking.
course.
During with what we've spoken about so far,
Thank you.
the abuse that did happen towards children, did you suffer any form of abuse like you was growing up?
No, none at all.
Just that a lot of incidents within child abuse, the abuser
From their
is a
childhood.
child
Yeah,
abuse
I
themselves. So I just wanted to get that one question out.
Thank you. Is there anything you would like to ask on, expand on?
Not just obviously with the park being there, you've got the school there. What about the residents in the building? How many children are in this building?
Next lady is by herself. The next lady is by herself. You saw the tenant on the top floor.
Yeah.
His wife. That's it.
Well, there's no kids in these two buildings.
Not in any of these buildings around here whatsoever.
Well, there must be some children here because there's a park
Yeah,
there.
don't forget there's a whole great big horseshoe.
What's it? Horseshoe.
Up to the top.
Okay.
Of it,
Just one more thing, Eric, the date today, was it the 13th of January?
This is really for.
But the date is 13th today.
Oh yeah. No,
February.
14.
February.
Yes,
So
yeah,
it's
we've
actually
got
Valentine's Day.
Valentine's
Yes.
Day.
Yes.
What I wanted to.
I never got any cards.
Do you know what? I haven't, so join that club. But you know, case of Sarah, there is a couple of things that I near enough forgot
You
to
said
ask at the
3
beginning.
minutes.
Yeah, but mindful of one of your neighbours. All right, so I'm just going to pause for a moment. Yeah. Do you need to get a glass of water?
No.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, it's a vape. I didn't know if you have.
I thought that was a heart
And then, you know, like one of those.
Patches.
No, I didn't know if it was something to do like an EpiPen or something.
Oh no.
Everyone comes out when it's sunny. Everyone
And
comes
it's
out
been a
when it's
lovely day
sunny.
today.
Just want to say one more thing. Is there a reason when you came to Belfast? You work in a children's home?
No, I was visiting friends who were living on the Shanghai, and I popped into social services and they offered me the job. I wasn't looking for a job really.
Did you work anywhere before
I
you
was
came to
there for
Northern
a week.
Ireland? Did you work anywhere else before you came to Northern Ireland?
No.
In that capacity of care.
Not at all.
You ever worked
And
in-
back
in
then
an
there
English
weren't much way of vetting, was there?
An English boys' school?
English boys school.
Francis?
And then no.
The only questions I've got to ask is about the geographics here in Britain. Can you confirm if you are known to either the Metropolitan Police or any of the other police services in Britain?
No connection.
Do the Metropolitan Police know that you're residing at this address? They have no knowledge.
Nobody knows. It's just
You got no orders or nothing
I
like
don't know,
that.
because
Then.
the obligation, I don't know whether because of the time frame has been elapsed and there's no obligation to have crossing of departments.
there was. Let me think now. I've been here 20 years. 15 years ago, the police came round, child protection, to do a survey, and they said, you're very low risk, sorry we've troubled you, and went away. And they just came out of the blue. And
Did they say whether that was?
They didn't say anything at all, apart from looking around the flat, asking questions, and that was it.
Did they say who had
No, I wanted
appointed
to know
them?
myself.
No, they hadn't.
I think they were just following me up.
I didn't know if it might be to do with the Home Office or whether it's just they have historical informations and they then go to check up on people. I don't know if they was appointed by another department. Eric, that is basically where we'll leave it. So you can be comfortable knowing that we'll be out of your hair and he will be back maybe in minutes without us being. Thank you for your time, and I appreciate that this was. Thank you. I appreciate this was unexpected.
Get to the bottom of it and sort it out once and for all.
If, and I say if, because I was told that you would do the right thing based on engaging us. I was told this, that Eric would do the right thing.
Oh,
yeah?
really? What was that?
That's what I was told.
All right.
The fact is, I feel that, this, you may have from this day flashbacks from this conversation, and there may be information that does come back that could be beneficial. So if I could ask one day,
flashbacks are from the press that have worried me and made my partner's life unbearable by going to his family and telling him that he's living with so and so, and all that has been really, really bad on him. And I'm surprised that we're still together.
in terms of this being about children, it's a very mixed.
No contact with children.
What I'm going to say is, it's a very mixed
I purposely
feeling.
avoid any contact with any child. If they were to have kids next door that way, I would be.
It's the best. It's the best thing to do, because the damage that gets done is irreversible, and you're saying it affects you.
When there was kids on the swingers or the roundabout, I would go that way.
I would avoid it myself, being honest. If based on what we know and what you've confirmed, and the impact you say it's having on you, clearly threefold on the individual. So I would do exactly that. Steer clear, talk to your partner if you have any interests that are deemed unhealthy ones. Speak to someone, whether that be your GP.
Please go now.
No problem.
Come back. I'm sorry I couldn't be of any more use to you.
No, but that's where we'll leave it. But if there is any chance that you may recall something, maybe in about 2 weeks or so, if I may pop back, I'll pop back just with two of us. That way then you'll feel possibly a bit more comfortable. Is that right?
Okay. Thank you ever so much, Eric, for chatting with us.
Thank you very much.
Take care.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Take care.
Recording stopped.